Hey everybody! The case I'd like to talk to you about is a case that happened at Elon Law a couple years ago. The student is graduated and gone on, and the dean of students that dealt with this case is now working at another law school up north. I won't mention any names, but I would like to give you some more information about what happened. It was a case that involved some blatant plagiarism as well as a few ethical conflicts that the dean had to deal with on her own. The case happened during a January winter term. It was in between the 1L and 2L years for the student. He was giving a speech in his leadership class, and he was talking, and a couple of the students were sitting there with their laptops, of course, and they were thinking, this is sounding a little familiar. So they started Googling the speech, and sure enough, they found it. They decided, being wise guys, that they would bust him in a rather spectacular manner. So they decided to go ahead and play the speech. Well, it turns out it was a familiar thing. It was an episode from Boston Legal. Well, it all went downhill from there for the student. So later on that day, the student had gone ahead and went to the dean of students' office. During this time, several of his classmates went to the honor council and reported the incident. And by late that afternoon, the faculty member from the class had also gone to the dean of students' office and requested her assistance. So at this point, the dean of students had spoken with the student, had the faculty member come to her for assistance, and by the end of the day, the honor council came to her as well. Can you see a pattern here? Are there some ethical conflicts going on, as well as blatant plagiarism? Yeah. So, what happened is the student and the dean met, and she discussed, actually, let me tell you first what I would do in this situation. What I decided, and I had to think about this for several days because of all the different twists and turns on this. What I decided that I would do is first talk to the faculty member and tell him that I am sorry, I can't release the information that the student and I discussed, because what goes on in the students in the dean of students office is sanctum. It does not get released, so I would be able to tell him non-specific information that he requested, but not anything that was released, would be released to him that was private between the student and I. As far as with the student, I would discuss issues of professionalism with him, and I would definitely go over with him how it is expected that he is going into a professional career, that he is expected to act in a professional manner. And that I would also, as far as the conflicts that would potentially happen, as far as working with both honor council and the student, I would tell the honor council that I am sorry, I cannot release information to you that is specific to what the student and I discuss, but I can give you information as far as what you are asking me. Did the student come to me? Yes. When did the student come to me? And not much more than that can be released, again, because of privacy issues. And at that point, I would also like to say that there are some standards, professional standards, that were covered in this case that I would like to mention that I think are highly appropriate here. The first one, under Principle 4 of Justice, that we assess all students in an open and valid, fair manner and one consistent, with learning objectives. The next one that I want to mention to you all is Principle 5 under Fidelity, that we maintain confidentiality of interactions, student records, and information related to legal and private matters. I think that one is very, very appropriate to this case. And last but not least, to avoid conflicts of interest or the appearance thereof. Highly appropriate, especially dealing with the honor council and also with the student, and the dean of students having to potentially advise both of them. So I think that those three standards under the CAS standards of ethics are very, very much at play here in this case. as far as how the dean of students at the time handled all of this, I was quite surprised when I finally caught up with her and asked her how she handled it. And she did indeed tell the professor that she would not be able to release personal information as in regards to the meeting that she had with the student. She did tell him that depending on how the case was found with the Honor Council, that if he decided to pass the student and he was later found guilty by Honor Council, that he might have to go ahead and change the grade. And that as far as meeting with the student, she did indeed meet with him and discuss issues of professionalism. So I was quite happy when I kind of got that one just about right. She discussed a few other things with him as well. But mainly it was about professionalism. He did kind of come into her with a rather cocky attitude, so she discussed some things with him about that, but because he couldn't understand why he might potentially fail the class, and he didn't see why it was cheating because he never particularly saw that episode of Boston Legal, so he didn't feel like he had actually cheated. Yeah, we won't get into that. Don't have time here. But in any manner, she did also go ahead and talk with the Honor Council and let them know that she did meet with the student and what day and time, because he did okay it for her to release that particular information to the student, or excuse me, the student okayed it for her to release that information to Honor Council, but he said he did not want anything else released to them. So she did tell Honor Council when they came to her later that day that that was all she could release to them, and as far as privacy matters go, that that was not any further information she would be able to reveal to them. So pretty much that was all that she could do. They did later subpoena her to go to the hearing, but she told them that she was not going to go, that she was not under their jurisdiction, because at Elon they are completely student run, the Honor Council is, and she was not under their jurisdiction. She would not have to go to the hearing, and she was not going to release any information further to them, so that was as good as done with them. And as far as what really happened in this case, the Honor Council did find the student guilty, and he did fail the class. In order for him to graduate, he did have to go back and retake the class between his second and his third year in order for him to go on. So that was pretty much the sum of it all.